No, all it takes is that one wrong angle.
And it just moved the lens. Always something that happens with my phones. I buy the expensive OtterBox for them.
Okay,
and still
we're good to go.
eventually
Yeah.
My last one was screen.
Okay, guys, are we ready to proceed? I'd like to thank everybody for their attendance today. I'd like to start with item 1. So we're going to call this meeting to order. I would like to start with the adoption of the agenda. So I'll need a mover and a seconder. So I see Dave and Caitlin. So the agenda's been adopted.
Mhm.
Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interests? I'm seeing none. I gotta sorry, Manny, I gotta look over, make sure I see you. My apologies. So I'm gonna go to number 3, and we're gonna look at the adoption of the minutes. Did everyone have an opportunity to review the minutes of our last meeting? And is everybody okay as it's recorded?
Yes.
Okay, so then I'll need a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes of our last meeting. Dave and Caitlin again. Do you want to lead with this or you want me to?
Sure. Yeah, we can jump right into
Okay.
it. So, item 4.1, I just wanted to provide a brief explanation for the e-charging stations funding that we had applied for. So we found out April 3rd that we were not successful in the application, not because of our application, it's a very competitive funding. It's across Canada. So they did encourage us to keep applying, especially for the 2025 intake year. So I'm going to keep all the information on file, and then as it opens up in January, I'll keep reapplying with the same information. I believe it's going to stay the same. So just a little update there. They didn't give much information, but I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware. Item 4.2 for the seniors housing verbal update, unless anyone had any questions about the charging stations, we're good. Okay.
Oh, yes, certainly.
Yeah. Dave?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Is there, are we still gonna keep pursuing this somehow, or is it?
I'm just going to reapply to the same fund.
Same fund.
I believe they go until 2025. They had the 3-year funding model through Aviva. But there should be multiple others coming out as well, because by 2030, the federal government regulated said they wanted all cars to be e-charging by then, I think was the threshold. So I think there's going to be more grants to come.
Yeah.
But as they come out, then I'll bring them to everyone's attention, and I'll just keep reapplying to the Aviva one every year in January.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's fine. So then no further questions on the e-charging? Okay, so we'll move to the next item. It's going to be 4.2, senior housing verbal update. Carly, if you wouldn't mind.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. So staff met and are meeting to start planning a groundbreaking ceremony in June. A call for committee members was posted for the not-for-profit board to oversee the housing unit. And then staff and council are currently reviewing applications for the appointments to that committee. So once all of that is confirmed, stay tuned for June. Everyone's going to be doing a grand opening ceremony, shovel ceremony at some point. We just haven't confirmed a date yet. Should be sometime next week.
Any questions on this matter? Dave?
Do we know where the list is at on how many applicants we have
I believe we have 7 applicants.
for the committee?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Sorry, Manny, was I talking loud enough? Did you hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay, thank you.
Coming clearly.
Thank you for checking, Dave. I appreciate that. Okay, then we'll move next. If there's no further questions on the development of the senior housing, then we'll move on to 4.3, OPP verbal update.
So a lot of the information is still confidential, but Mark wanted to let everyone know that the proposal on our end has been submitted. We're just waiting to hear back right now. And there should be another update provided in the, if not during the summer, at the end of the summer.
Okay, do we have any questions regarding that? Okay, so we'll move on to item 4.4. This is Ramaco's development verbal update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So staff met with developers in a pre-consultation review to overlook the site plan control. This was necessary to move forward with phase 1 of their plan, which includes 2 6,000 square foot warehouses on the property. Staff are still negotiating with MTO regarding further developments of the gas station, but currently they'd like to move forward with phase 1.
Beautiful.
Any questions?
Through you, Mr. Chair, Ramaco's, are they planning on just the warehouses and a gas station, or is there retail space?
There could be, it's still up in the air right now. But so far they're just going through with phase 1, which is the 6,000 square foot warehouses.
Is the municipality going to consider the fact that Jill has tackle and bait here? Great Escape has tackle and bait in Albin. Adding Ramaco's, which is over 40-year-old business and has a bigger foothold, could take both of those into the ground. Like, are we going to consider sustaining the pre-existing businesses and support those, or letting Ramaco's do what they want to do?
I'll get back to you on that just to make sure, unless Seb, do you want to?
From what I understand, the plan is still dynamic and flexible at the moment. There is some exploration around a service station and some opportunity for retail outlets. The type of retail outlets have not been determined or brought to our attention at the moment. So in terms of retail competition, I don't think anything like that was of a concern yet at this point, just because it's so preliminary. And as part of the phase 1, I think right now the purpose is just to get some development started on the land, starting with general warehousing. So I don't believe the warehousing has a retail component to it, but they just want to start some development on the site. So in our recent discussions, that's kind of just been the extent of what has been presented to us at this time.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, then if it's okay, we're going to move to the next item, which is 4.5. So we are going to go into a working session, discuss grant opportunities and visioning planning. I'll hand it off to Carly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is maybe the fun part of the meeting, I'd like to think. So in the package, I provided a summary of the Ontario Rural Economic Development Grant, so the RED grant. I provided what streams were available and the project outcomes that they would be expecting should we submit an application. It's a rather lengthy application. Sebastian has contacts through, I think, his economic partners, Seb. Your contacts with RED? OMAFRA. Should we have any questions during the application process? And once we go through the exercise today, Sebastian's going to take our top 3 projects and priorities and see if they will entertain those projects before we submit our application. So did everyone have a chance to review the report and they're comfortable kind of diving in? I did want to point out the financial implications section of the report. So this was more provided as a summary so that everyone was aware of our financial obligations currently. So these are all of the projects and the grants that we have committed
Carly,
to.
can you let us know what page?
Oh, sorry, 11 of 37.
11, thank you.
So the first one being the Novel Community Center addition. So we applied to the Enabling Accessibilities Grant and NOHFC. So this is a 2-grant application. The total project is $2.4 million. So the Enabling Accessibilities Fund portion is paying for 1.3. NOHFC is coming in at 500,000, and NOHFC is not going to approve our application unless Enabling Accessibilities approves their application, being the higher grant contributor. And then our portion of the entire project is 511,000. There's the Affordable Seniors Housing Complex, so that's coming in at $9.8 million. And there's a note in there that says the municipality is going to carry the debt to build the complex, which will be converted to long-term financing assumed by the not-for-profit organization, which is why we put out for the members. And once that's been established, then things will really start rolling after that. The OPP station, because our proposal was submitted to Infrastructure Ontario, there's still no further information at this time, but there is a financial obligation once the proposal is decided on. And then the rehabilitation of the French River wastewater system. So there was, in 2018, there was a cameraing study done to identify certain parts within our sewer system that needed maintenance or major rehabilitation. And that was guesstimated at 1.6 million. We met with Aqua, which is the company that oversees our wastewater system for us. And they said that they would like to review the footage of the 2018 cameraing system and re-camera those same spots to see how far it's progressed. And if it's progressed aggressively, then they would still go through at the 1.6, but there may be some cost savings. So we're going to be re-cameraing that section to make sure that the work that was indicated that needed to be done in 2018 is still a project that needs to be done to that extent. So Mark Fleury has provided me with our municipality's annual repayment limit for additional debt, which is provided by the auditors. So with everything going on right now, we would only have 1.4 million or 1.5 almost available for additional projects for commitments right now, if everything goes through and is approved. So I just wanted to give everyone that kind of overview that there's a lot going on. It's good things, but we want to keep an eye on the financials. Okay. So on your screens, I'm just going to take a minute there to switch over. So Manny, so you can see everyone's ideas, and I put everything into the report on this whiteboard. Can you see it okay, Manny?
I see it. Thank you.
So the red development grant is the main one here at the top. These are the 2 streams. I've just kind of color coded them to match the reporting. And beneath each stream are all of the different components that you can apply for in the grant application. So I had provided a couple of example projects that would link back to our visioning plan. So everything that you see on the screen here is what was included in the reporting. And I did put on the side, if anyone had any new projects that weren't included in the report, they can absolutely bring them up here. Tell us how they would link it to the visioning plan or the master plans. And what we would do at the end of the session, once everyone had a chance to give their ideas on projects that they would like to see done in the community, Seb and I would take those ideas, put them in a survey, and probably by the end of the week or next week, we would send that link out to everyone to vote on all of the projects, because we were going to pick the top 3 of everyone's voting hierarchy. And then those were the projects that we were going to focus on sooner rather than later. It doesn't mean that all the projects aren't going to get done at some point. They're still going to sit there and live, but these are going to be the top 3 that we're going to focus on. Once we identify those, we're going to see if we can provide financials, what the project would look like, outline in a Gantt chart, and bring that recommendation to council so that we can get their endorsement before actually starting on the project. And we need their endorsement to apply for grant funding. Are there any questions?
Dave?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. When you were saying with our financial commitments and we have to 1.5 left for, I guess, to commit on anything else if we wanted to, does that include the affordable housing? And then once that's gone, that becomes available again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same with the credit availability on your credit card, you know, you just, once you pay it off, then you get
Yeah.
that credit back, same type of scenario.
Thank you.
Okay, so maybe we can, to get the ball rolling. I'm gonna go down the projects, list here, so we can just kind of brainstorm and jump in if you want to, or I can go around the table. If anyone has any questions, jump in at any time, okay? So this is gonna be a little bit less formal section of the
That's
meeting. So under the economic diversification and competitive stream, we've identified that under the business retention and expansion that we could do another BRNE. We had started when we had the economic development department here prior, but it wasn't completed. And it was also done through the RED grant. So we had started doing the BRNE and I think they had gotten to the point of collecting surveys and they had received those surveys back, but it didn't go any further than that. So if there's interest in doing another business retention expansion study, then it would just help identify gaps within the labor market within our municipality. Another one would be technology adaptation and innovation stream. This would be the Launch and Go Green campaign. So over and above the e-charging stations, do we want to adopt any other sort of green initiatives and apply for them through this grant? So do we want to install solar panels? Do we want to be more environmentally friendly? Do we want to do a recycling campaign? Something along those lines. Implementing programs or technology for planning, building, or bylaw departments to utilize for organization. Planning and communication either interdepartmentally or to the end users. So this would be more of a purchase, a new program for the municipality to utilize to be more cost effective and timely in removing that red tape. So it would speed up the application process and it would speed up the permit process and it would help staff keep track. A lot of these e-permitting tools provide a portal for people to log in. So once they submit their application online, they pay by credit card, they get automatic email updates as to where the application is at, and they can close it and they can receive their permit, everything online, and they don't have to come into the office. There's also, so attraction and retention of workers, immigrants, and youth. So developing a community initiative that improves local parks, recreational facilities, and public spaces, creating a more attractive environment for families and supporting bilingual and English language child services. So this was a big touch point when we were going through the visioning process, both through the master plans and from what we heard in the surveys is that we need more services, both for the elderly and the children that are coming into the community. And with that comes medical services, daycare services, and amenities. So that would be a rather big project. Keep in mind that underneath this stream, it is, just gonna get the threshold. So under the economic diversification and competitiveness stream, the maximum provincial project support for eligible costs is up to 150,000 per selected project, and that would be 50%. So max, we could go up to 300,000 under that stream. Dave.
This, I see English language childcare. I don't know if there's anything we can actually do about that, but is there? We need to do something about getting an English high school in the area.
Mhm.
Because I heard also, I forget who I was talking to, but I was really surprised on how much extra students from before the pre-pandemic there was at the Manedville school. So looking forward, these are all gonna go to high school. It'd be nice to keep them here, and also it would attract a lot of families that don't speak French to the area. That's a deal breaker for a lot of families to come to this area with no English high school. And they have to bus their kids an hour away. don't know
And that
if there's
was the
anything we
big-
can do, but
I know, that was a big conversation topic during our focus groups for the master plans, as well as a lot of people touched on that, younger families that moved into the area that completed this survey. So,
I don't know if maybe with council, maybe we can write a letter to one of the English school boards to
Yeah. we did write
persuade
letters.
them, maybe.
I forget when it was, the years have gone by so fast, but we did, Giselle was very helpful in contacting the Rainbow District School Board, because they wanted to come back and open a high school. They lack the infrastructure.
Right, yeah,
And the current high school can't house them.
not anymore, yeah.
No. So there's some limitations there in getting things done, but it doesn't mean that it's not a possibility in the future for sure. But if that's an identified project, then we can definitely dive into
I
what
think that
we
would be
can do.
important. I think
yeah,
that would be
at our next
important for
meeting.
the area.
Okay.
Caitlin?
To expand on that idea, the French public elementary and high school works really, really well together. If we were to approach Rainbow, I don't know how much land Manettville Public School has available, but maybe doing an expansion so that they can retain those students for high school programming on the same property. I do see the benefit of having the younger students and the high school students together. It's a great mentorship opportunity. And the way it's designed at the high school here is they're in their own separate level. Now, that would be something that would have to be hashed out if this were to work, but if we're trying to keep them in French River and we're saying that there's not the infrastructure, can we expand on the existing infrastructure? And see if we can work with Rainbow School Board and, you know, try and keep the kids here.
I think it's a great idea.
Nice, okay. I just one comment, I'm just thinking out of the box. I know when I went through high school, we had a French component as part of the curriculum. And the reason I bring that up is the identity here in the French River, obviously French-speaking individuals. It is nice to hold on to the culture. I would just maybe like to put a footnote in there to, if we do English school, absolutely. But if we do make sure that there is still an English component mandated in the curriculum itself, it's very important, my belief anyway, that to be bilingual. We came to this community 20 years ago, and I did put my kids into French immersion, and as a result, that was probably one of the better things for my kids that we did. They're all fluent in French now, and they are able to partake in you know what this community was built on. And those are just my comments, just to exercise caution when we're moving forward. I think it's a great idea. We have to accommodate these younger families coming in. Predominantly, they are English speaking, much like myself when we came. But I just want to make sure that we retain or think about retaining the French component of that. Just because I know in the visioning that was spoken to that it was very important to recognize where we came from, how this community was put together, and to maintain that, to grow, but not so fast.
Yeah.
And that's just my comments.
I know when I went to high school here, we had French and English. It was two separate school boards. And I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think it was something about the cost sharing or something like that didn't work out. So the two school boards didn't work out, and the French public owned the infrastructure, so they're the only ones that stayed.
I think I remember
But I
something
agree.
about that, Dave.
Yeah, but I agree, we need both. But
Mhm.
right now we have the French, so we need to add.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just want to throw that out there just to keep it,
Yeah.
keep it in mind.
Okay.
Sorry,
I
can
see.
we also, you had in that section as well, daycare.
Yep.
Can we touch on that priority
Absolutely.
as well? Because daycare is a huge issue.
Mhm.
And it's, from speaking with people within the community, it's causing a lot of problems for being able to have them go back to work because they don't have childcare at home. So they're either having to sacrifice their career, find an alternative income source, or change jobs altogether just in order to work around childcare that is lacking in our community.
Mhm. And in speaking with the childcare organizations, they have the space. They have, or they had a 90-kid wait list at one point, and I'm told that it has grown since then. What they're lacking is staff, qualified staff to work there. I know they have gotten a couple of applications, but they are on a constant hire right now. So even if we did an awareness marketing campaign on how do we draw in qualified individuals, not just for daycare, but for medical as well, was identified during the visioning process, having doctors or nurse practitioners more so in the area for our aging population. So there's a couple of things that we could do to do that marketing campaign to entice people to move to the community that have those specialty backgrounds.
So the one you're referencing for daycare
Mhm.
is the French daycare?
Care for, yeah.
Or, okay, so what about this families that are English? What are we doing for?
So we would have to entice an English daycare to open because the Care for's mandate is French speaking. So it would have to be a separate, maybe it would be something as easy as approaching Minettville Public School if they had the space. Somebody utilizing another building in the area. That's also another stream that was
Mhm.
available for infrastructure, is utilizing existing infrastructure for these types of services to provide them. That's part of the other stream that is 30% up to a max of 250. So
I know personally for us, when we moved to the community, we were lucky enough to get both kids in there. So they started learning French at a young age and are now attending the French public. But for families that are coming into our area, and some of which have kids in Minettville, are now having, you know, younger kids in their family who then need daycare. We need to figure out and consider those new members of our community and support them as well, not just the French aspect of our community. We need to be balancing and looking at everybody's needs.
and in the survey, it identified that we were about 50-50 French and English families that were moving into the area. So there's a need definitely for an English education daycare facility.
But we
Or
don't
even a
have
bilingual.
infrastructure for it.
So we would have to utilize either existing infrastructure or build new, but build new would not be part of this grant application.
Right.
Yeah, so if there's existing buildings within French River that are for sale, that are in a commercial or educational, that we could potentially change the zoning on, or it would be to entice that person or that group or organization to want to open a daycare here, though. That would be the most difficult part. Is to express the need and work with the numbers that we have and the wait list with the current daycares. And so if that is one of the projects that we want to identify, do we want to identify it as its own separate project, or do we want to include it as a project as a whole for the English high school as well as, or do we just want to label it as English child services, education child services? Go ahead.
No, I don't. If you guys have a comment, I'll speak up after.
I was gonna say, what about like multiple smaller ones? Like some people can do it out of their houses. I know there's already some, but
Yeah.
maybe something to entice, like you
Mhm.
say, entice to not make people, but encourage them
Yeah.
to
Make them
open
aware that this is.
home daycare. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I know that, I don't think it was through the Care for, but there was another agency out of West Nipissing that was encouraging, I know because they tried to recruit me before I came back to work to open my own at-home daycare. So I know that they're trying, and they're really aggressive with it. It's just a lot of women want to go back to their careers.
Sure.
And that's the main issue, as Caitlin touched on, was, we've established ourselves in our careers and we really like to go back to that. And the pay isn't there. It's not comparable to open a daycare, and it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
So I can see where the struggles are, but how do we make it more enticing for people to want to open a facility like that, right? That's,
So there is a feasible issue there.
Mhm.
Is there any municipality grants or any money that we can entice people with? Are there any funds there?
As like a wage subsidy?
Yeah. Or
I
other
would-
things, or other things, or
Yeah.
But just set up.
Yeah,
From what
it's worth to look into for sure, Manny. I don't know off the top of my head, but we can make the note to see if there is anything out there and we can reach out to a couple people.
I think from what I'm hearing, it's a problem with staff having, not having the staff to take that on, and also the whether it could sustain, because sorry, I'm thinking as I'm speaking here. Do we have a number of how many English and French speaking children are in need of daycare right now?
English and French speaking, we wouldn't have an exact number. I can get you a percentage from the people that answered our survey to kind of get an idea, but an exact number would be very difficult to get.
Yeah. I would really like to kind of see what kind of what size and how many children it would take before a break-even point even hits at any facility that might or that might open. I'm just trying to see. We know what problem with doctors are, but in healthcare, I'm just trying to see. And I'm thinking about this. My daughter is in early child care out in Brockville, and what they've done there is they've almost combined. And I'm sorry, I know I'm going all over the place, but I'm thinking as I'm speaking here, is they've combined gymnastic programs, gymnastic schools, dance schools, and all of that with childcare to make it more feasible and, lack of a better word, more profitable also. So I'm wondering if there are any programs. I'm sorry?
No, continue. I was just surmising that you're thinking of using the same facility to house all these entities you just mentioned.
Exactly. Yes, and that I think it's and I've seen some programs where they utilized churches, basements of churches, and some of the churches welcomed the additional revenue that they would rent out the basement for. So I think there could be a lot of interesting solutions to the problem or that we're facing with that. It is a big one. My kids are all grown up, but going back, this has been a problem forever. It's been a problem 40 years ago with daycare. And so I think I'll end with, I think this is a huge priority for the community because you don't want, of course you want people to come, but you also don't want them to leave. And I think that's the key there.
And I think a lot of the worry, just thinking out loud, is if we build a facility, how long will it take to build a facility, and what do the parents do in the meantime? And as the children grow, are the same amount of children coming in to replace those children to keep that facility open? As you mentioned, a break-even point as well, like where do they get their return on investment? Or is there enough birthing happening to support building that facility long term?
So to touch on your idea, Carly, if we were theoretically to build a facility, a rec center, if you were to utilize it for both the young preschool kids, even after school programming, you could maybe bring in more programs, brownies, guides, day camp,
summer camp, yeah.
in the summertime. Also, maybe have a couple rooms within that facility that are for seniors and senior programming, and then you will have that retention over time because you're catching all age groups under one umbrella. There's been studies to the benefits of having daycare students and seniors interacting together for their mental health, the youthfulness.
The
It
mentorship.
could really, really work
Mhm.
financially and socially for our community and all of the community needs by doing one super center, let's say,
Yep.
facility that takes care of everything.
I think long-term, that's a great idea.
And now you're actually attracting people.
And now you're
Yeah.
attracting people.
Multiple
Not just what we
funding
already have
streams.
here that's growing up, you're actually
Exactly.
attracting more people.
When I hear people saying that they're trying to get onto a list for daycare, when they find out that they're pregnant, just in hopes that by the time they have their child and are done maternity leave, that they might have childcare, then we have a big problem here.
Mhm.
And it needs to be addressed. We also have a senior aging population that we're trying to address. If we were to combine the two and focus on the two together, mold them and shape them into one entity, it could solve many problems financially and socially all at once.
Yeah, 'cause it's not just an issue in our community, it's Canada-wide,
Mhm.
the childcare issue.
Agreed.
So it's, yeah,
Yes, and so
It's a-
is
it's
the
a known
senior,
issue.
so is the senior
yes,
focus as well,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. Seniors housing and yeah, everyone downsizing or needing long-term care. It's, yeah.
But for a little community like ours, that might be the most economical way of approaching it.
Potentially
And
as a phase 2 of the seniors housing project.
Exactly. Like I said, I don't see it being tomorrow's solution, but
Yeah.
I
No.
see it. It completely makes sense that we have that mindset in mind. We work towards that goal. I think that's beautiful. But I think we may have to think about what Manny's saying is look at what's available now,
Mhm.
start using it and with
Yeah,
that
like the
being,
churches. and
absolutely.
Those pre-existing
Yeah,
facilities.
because we need something short term.
Yeah.
I have a question, with respects to whatever happened to our federal government's $10 a day daycare.
It's going to be completely phased in by 2025. So right now I'm paying $12 a day.
So will we, as a municipality, have access if we were to start a program for daycare? Would that, how does that work? Does that go towards the parents who pay, or is there a subsidy put to the service provider as well?
So as far as I know is how it works. So every year during tax season, you would submit your receipts as a parent and get a huge kickback. So I feel like they're taking that middle step out and just giving the funding to the service providers, as long as they're a public daycare. If they're a private daycare, you pay whatever, you're at their mercy with whatever you pay.
Hmm.
Okay.
So it's a slow phase in, but there's also talks about how it's not working because the daycare facilities aren't funded properly. They're not getting enough money to operate through that funding model. So I think there's going to be some changes to come. I don't know if it's going to go through full fruition in 2025, but I'm keeping an eye on it, certainly. But we'll see. We'll see what comes. That's at the federal level.
I was curious how
Yeah.
the funding was delivered.
That's
but-
how I understand it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Manny had
I'm sorry, Manny, did you have something to say?
No, it's okay. It's,
And just to go back to speak as a standalone issue, I think this is now, there's a lot of feedback and there's a lot of discussion. So I think what I'm going to say is null and void. I was going to say, I'd like to go through the rest of everything to make a decision whether this is going to be standalone, but I'll leave that open because it does sound like there's a lot of traction on this. And I have to agree, to have a growing, thriving community, we have to look after our young people. Our young people have to be able to go to work and they need a place for their kids, and they need to feel that their kids are being looked after in a safe environment.
Mhm.
I think this is a very important topic.
Okay, so the next project is developing programs to attract and retain volunteers, organizing community activities and enhancing civic participation. Recently, with the aging population, a lot of the community groups are seeing a decline in volunteering happening in the community because our community is aging and there's only so long they can volunteer for in the community. But they're having a difficult time replacing those people. So this would be more of a project to identify which groups are still active and what sort of positions they need to fill. I think it would just be more of another marketing campaign to help these groups advertise to our new residents. This is who we are, this is what we do, and these are the positions currently available in our organization, to keep them afloat. So that would be like a low-lying fruit thing we can work with. Like, we have a lot of established communities, or community groups here. Another one is the Sudbury East Child Care Services. I don't think that's anyways, they're through public health, Lisette and Sarah, and they work with Care4. They're just an organization that provides community services for childcare and seniors in the communities. So they work a lot together, and they are also realizing, and we've had discussions on the lack of volunteerism in the community, and we want to identify if that is a lack of understanding of what's needed for volunteerism in the community, and how do they advertise that these positions are vacant. So if we can eliminate if that's the issue, and if it's another issue, then kind of go through that, but kind of take a deeper dive into what the actual issue is more what this project would be. Dave?
Would it, or how much trouble would it be? And would it be okay to add a link on our webpage for anybody who would be interested in volunteering? They could click on that and see what's available and what would be expected of them.
That would be
and
the hope, exactly. What would the
That way,
project would be.
everybody,
Yeah.
even if you accidentally click on it, you might see something, oh, I could do that. and-
Yep. Yeah. So it would be
might
to
not.
reach out to all the groups and just
Mhm.
confirm, what do you need?
Yeah,
What are you looking for?
of
And
course, it
then,
would have to stay updated all the
Yeah,
time. but
yeah. That's always the struggle.
Yeah.
To keep
Setting it up
updated,
is not
yeah.
the problem, it's keeping it
Yeah,
updated.
yeah. So, so that's one of the projects that would be kind of an easier one to tackle.
Mhm.
Partner with local healthcare providers to launch a recruitment campaign for healthcare providers, including promotional materials, job fairs, and partnerships with educational institutions to create a pipeline of healthcare workers. So that was one of the ones that came out of our focus groups, was that they're trying to attract more healthcare workers to the area to help with the aging population and the younger generations coming in, so that Univ and other Univ is the healthcare provider in the area, but so that they can have more intake on clients. Yeah, walk-in clinics for sure. Yeah, I think that's their intent, but it would be to work closer with them to see what they want to do, how they want to do it, how can we help? Do we do this together? Like, what sort of services in the community would you require for these people to move here? It's kind of it would be a very broad understanding of what would we all need to do to make this happen?
Mhm.
Any questions on that one? Comments?
Just a clarification. So this would be a research project again. You'd have to go in and get information from individuals contemplating staying here and asking them what the requirements would be.
Mhm.
And this would be all levels of healthcare. So it wouldn't just be a doctor and a nurse. It would be chiropractics. It would be dentistry. It would be all levels.
Yep. And the next one under collaborative marketing and outreach would be host a series of safety workshops and events in collaboration with OPP, fire services, and other partners. Topics could include crime prevention, fire safety and prevention, organizing community safety events, or creating educational materials on safety practices. So this is more of a prevention item, informing people of emergency management, since we've had our fair share of floods and fires in the last couple of years, how to be prepared for the next 72 hours in the event of an emergency, fire services, so it's working smoke alarms, safety,
72-hour kits,
sorry.
the 72-hour.
Yeah, the 72-hour kits, carbon monoxide alarms, seatbelt clinics for kids. That would be a kind of like a joint between fire departments and OPP, even EMS on first aid. So that would be, we could host a series of those types of events, because we get calls more often than not about, hey, when's their next seatbelt clinic? When's their next first aid clinic? I need to get certified. Does the fire department offer smoke alarms? Do they do inspections? So it's just a more of a, like it said in the in the stream here, collaborative marketing and outreach, so marketing and education
Mhm.
piece.
And this, what would the budget be for this?
So that we would have to, so once we establish what 3 priorities we're gonna work on, then we would work out the specificities, the finance behind it, the Gantt chart to work out how much, like, when do we want things done and how are we gonna get there and who's gonna be involved? So all those specifics would come out once we identify what are our top 3. And the next one, I think, is in the, so it's in the strategic economic infrastructure stream. So this is more of like capital projects. So there's the rehabilitation of cultural heritage or tourism attractions, redevelopment of vacant underutilized buildings. So this is what we were mentioning about for the childcare. And that would include even like if the church needed upgrades to be able to house these people, that would fall under this stream. Especially for accessibility upgrades. I know that would be a big one, especially for the seniors in the community, and it's mandated now that we have to be accessible and to a certain capacity. So the project that we had identified here, so capital improvements that create supportive environments for families, such as improving local amenities and services, can indirectly encourage local school boards and agencies to expand their. So I think this project kind of incorporates everything that we were talking about with childcare services and seniors and educational facilities, if everyone's in agreement. Not saying that we can't apply to both streams. I don't know, Seb, that would kind of be a pitch to OMAFRA to see what they would like to see what they would entertain anyways. But if the group collectively thinks that, you know, we could merge the capital stream with the other identified projects over here. Is it? Parks, recreational facilities, no, developing programs. Here it is. Developing a community initiative that improves local parks, recreational facilities, or public spaces, creating more attractive environment for families and supporting bilingual and English language childcare services. What I did leave out was high school education. So we can include that within the project, I think.
I think it's important.
So I'll just put it here so we don't forget. Okay. So I guess at this time, I'd just like to open it up. If anyone has any other projects and priorities that you think would fit into a different stream, if you'd like to tackle anything else in the visioning plan that you thought was a higher priority, or the master plans. If we haven't already touched on it, either in our projects that we're currently working on or in our brainstorming session here. Now's the time to
I think seniors and youth is our top priority.
Like, I understand that the medical end of things is important,
That
but
all falls into the seniors.
that's
youth.
only if you can keep people here.
Mhm.
So maybe we can, you know, help the volunteer programs, help UNIV in supportive capacities, using the municipality's website and Facebook page as a platform for their causes to help spread the word. But I think the main focus in order for retention of our population needs to be focused on kids and seniors.
If I could just add one more thing to the volunteer program, I think it's a great idea with putting those links up. I believe that getting our youth, our high school kids involved as volunteers is a win-win for us, because there are so many volunteers, and I've always found that when you do get them involved, they feel part of the community. So if we can almost think of a program that we can hit the local high schools, to get our youth to volunteer, and I'm going to give you a wild little thing here, even teaching some of our seniors how to text, technology, which they're 100, they're above all of us. I think, like I said, a program to attract the high school kids into volunteering, I think would benefit us all.
I think that's, I think it's your thinking is in line with what Ontario just came out with. They announced early May that new fast track plan for teens getting into a trades career. So I believe it's for grade 11 and 12s, and 80% of their time would be allotted to like apprenticeship programs. And
Right.
not so much for volunteering, but I believe they still have to get their 40 hours of
Yeah.
volunteer hours to
Gonna ask
graduate,
about
right?
that. That's
Mhm.
still,
Yeah, I think that's still a thing. It's just like, even us here at the municipality, we've struggled to even get kids to apply for paying jobs. So it's, yeah, we got to get in there with the schools and see how can we encourage these kids to get involved in the community. I agree, man.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. There's a feeling that comes over you when you volunteer.
Mhm.
And I think these kids, if we do, are we able to entice them to something they enjoy? And once we have them at a young age, they'll fall into that group and they'll continue that for the rest of their lives. So I think you really hit on something. If we can get them involved, I don't know exactly what is out there for instance, if we can get them involved with tree planting. If we can put a committee together for beautification of the municipality, like maybe put a day together and we clear the garbage out of the ditches. And we have a great day of it, maybe a barbecue at the end of it. You know, we need those organizations to facilitate that activity. But if we can go into the high schools and grab those kids at that age, I think it's fantastic. And also, and it comes to speak to what you were talking about, Caitlin, with having the younger kids teach the technology to the seniors as well. Just that interaction.
Yeah.
They both have something to share with each other, just to enriching both lives.
Mhm.
So I think there's something very powerful. If we could figure out a mechanism to bring that forward, I think you'll find that they'll love that life of volunteering.
And
to having like clubs like 4-H clubs and cadets and stuff like
Yes,
that.
we
And then
need
you can go through those maybe to try and get
Yes.
some kids
That's a
to
good idea.
volunteer.
100% you
That-
could.
that would-
Why
Yes.
reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
Yeah, see if there's.
There-
traction.
And there's so many youth that have graduated high school, and our family is a sports family, so our kids played ball at a higher level, and they all, even now they have their kids, they're going out and volunteering. They're teaching those basketball programs right now. And I think that I am sure there's a high level of basketball, soccer, whatever, that have graduated, that have gone now, and they're at that first, second year of their life. They finished university, finished college, and they have nothing to do. And I'll tell you, they will come back and take on a program to teach the 5-year-olds. I've seen it, the 6-year-olds, the 7-year-olds, the 8-year-olds in coaching programs like that.
Mhm.
And I think that is, I'm just going back to, I think we have a great resource in our youth. And if we make them feel as important as we say they are to us, they'll contribute. That's I strongly believe that.
Well said.
Mhm.
I agree. Give them purpose.
Thank you for that word. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Nothing further?
Oh, I think are you on?
Oh,
There you go.
mine went off 3 times, but that's all.
Okay.
Oh, I hope that all was captured. Okay, so we have enough to work with, or we have more?
I think we do have enough to work with. And then, so what we're gonna do, you'll see an email from Seven just with the survey link. So I'll get everyone, even the committee members that weren't here, because they can go back and look at the video just to see what the conversation was. To vote on what your top 3 projects you would like to work on over the next couple years. We'll likely do more of the planning in 2024 with grant application implementation and financials happening in 2025 is the idea. So if everyone has nothing else to add, then Seb and I leave it to us, and we'll compile everything and send out the link.
We have a good start.
Yeah. When do you think would be an appropriate time to meet back?
Can I add one thing?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to overstep. It's just because for me, I'm looking at, this is kind of selfish. I'm looking at it from my point of view. This is the first time that I'm actually able to review. Like, I know I went through the visioning plan, but to see it in this platform, would it be beneficial for the members here to maybe further review and then come back and have a discussion again, and then like, you know what I mean? So we can fully vet what's there, and then come back and rediscuss and then make a final pick. Does that make sense?
Yeah, as long as everyone gets their votes in, and then we can all agree at the next meeting that, yes, these are the top 3 that we're gonna work on,
And then if somebody has other directions that they may want to throw in within the next week, can we
Yeah.
submit those as well?
Yeah.
Just if you leave here, something might be top of mind when you leave, and you might want to say, hey, you know what, I'm kind of thinking this, and you can elaborate on
Yeah.
on that as well. So
Absolutely.
what would be the timeline?
I
What do you think?
asking staff on how long will it take you guys to put this together and be ready for a discussion.
It's
on
almost
what
put
we-
together. We're like, we've confirmed all of the projects and everything. Seb is like 85%, 90% of the way there with the
Okay.
survey. So
So we're almost.
almost there. Yeah. So if anyone had anything to add in addition to, like, if they think of
Probably
something within the next
scheduled
week,
meeting
Yeah.
Is what, usually 2 months in between?
usually 2 months. Yeah.
Too far?
Well, it's a good conversation. It's a good question. So
We can plan it maybe in September.
Oh, that's even further. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wait, we're May, June, July, September. No. Are we okay having a summer meeting? I know everyone's busy.
The second week of July, I'm not here.
Same. Yeah,
So
it's
if
just a
not that
vacation
week, I'm
season.
okay.
Yeah.
so do we feel we need a summer meeting?
I
That's,
don't think
so
we
do you,
should have something in between from here to September.
get the
At
ball
least
rolling.
Discuss a
Yeah.
little bit further what we have that's already
To-
worked on, see if we can tweak it a little bit before the final.
Finalize our path.
Yeah. Maybe plan for the September being the final thing, but
Okay.
have
Yeah.
something that we can look at and discuss and maybe add, like you say.
So let me I'm gonna open a calendar. We have,
because you can probably send out a couple of suggested dates, and we can
Yeah.
do a poll.
yeah, I can send out a couple of dates. I'm thinking maybe mid-June, late July. If
Late-
everyone's
late
okay with that.
If I get enough notice, usually I can squeeze it in.
Okay.
Just make sure it doesn't happen with conferences.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
There's a lot going-
I think-
Canada
I think
Day.
August
Yeah.
is the
There's a
next.
lot going on in the summer. That's, it's usually why we don't like to plan. Like,
Yeah.
we don't even do council meetings
in July.
in the summer.
That's
so.
right.
But like everyone said, I don't want to lose this momentum.
Yeah,
So maybe before Canada Day. So if we give everyone a week to kind of mull everything over, and if you have anything extra that you want to include, email it to me.
Okay.
And then I'll talk with Seb, and we'll get something together, and we'll get a survey out the following week. We are the 23rd today, so we would get it out the first week of June, which would be the week of the 3rd. And then either the week of the 17th or the 24th, I'll provide a couple of dates there, and towards the end of July, and then we'll do a doodle poll to see what works for everyone.
yeah, and even if the survey isn't closed, when we get to that meeting, we can look at what we have so far.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then in September, we can have the final tally.
Yeah, the survey is more of a, like, these are all of our, everything that's on this whiteboard here, and I can send this whiteboard out to everyone if you just want to see the linkages between everything. If it's not clear enough in the report, you can kind of see the visual. We can, I lost my train of thought.
That happens to me all the
I
time.
hate that.
I don't want to say anything because I can say, that's what happens when you
The
get older.
survey, yes, sorry. The survey is more of a order these items in order of most important to least important. And then we're gonna take the top three percentage wise from everyone and present those. And yes, is everyone okay? What's our direction? Where are we going with this? And that's how it's,
So are you
Supposed to-
simplifying, you're simplifying this though for this survey?
Yeah.
So like one will clearly say big grand rec center, right? So I know what one to click.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, we
That
can
was
do
point
that.
forward.
Yeah, simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's a lot of projects and ideas going on here. So it's just to organize them and make sure that.
And they're all great ideas.
Yeah.
And they're all things that need to be addressed for sure.
But
But-
what's more feasible?
And what's more important now versus what can,
Agreed. We
Yeah.
can't shotgun it. It has to be focused.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have to pick the most important paths forward.
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
Perfect. Okay.
So no further questions, comments, suggestions? And if that's the case, then I guess we can move to adjourn.
And I'll need to move in a second.
The roundtable discussion.
Oh,
but I think we
roundtable, yeah.
already-
Well, that's what this was, wasn't it? The round
Nope,
table?
nope, there's an
No.
additional.
Oh,
yeah.
my apologies. So then with that being said, is there anything little off topic, anything, any further discussion? No? Anyone want to complain about the water?
Trying to come down a
Sorry.
little bit.
Dave, come over to my place for a beer.
I'm working on the same lake, same river as you are on.
Come have a look at my property.
It is high. But it did come down a bit, didn't it?
I came down, we're down probably 1.5 feet, but it's still on my lawn and
Oh,
I
it's
still
still-
can't use it.
Still high,
Yeah.
yeah. Where I'm working, I can see
Okay, so I guess we'll adjourn then.
it.
Okay, so I'll need a mover and a seconder. Caitlin? Manny, you're gonna get in? Manny,
Yeah.
we'll do a second. And thank you, everyone, for your attendance. I appreciate it. I think it was a great discussion we had, and there seems to be a lot of momentum here. I think that with some proper foresight, I think we can probably make some pretty critical and passionate change.